Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom 2015, brought to you by Homefront: The Revolution. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me is my old pal, Garth DeAngelis from Firaxis. I said that wrong.
You said it right. Firaxis is right.
Up. Yeah. How you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing excellent.
XCOM 2.
Yes.
Tell me about it. I've been kind of not semi sort of media blackout about this.
Yeah. XCOM 2. We are super excited about it. This is the follow-up to Enemy Unknown in 2012. And what we're doing here at Gamescom, we talked to you guys at E3 about the tactical game and how it's far more open-ended, procedural maps. What we're talking about here at Gamescom is the strategy layer. As you know, there are XCOM is two huge games in one.
This is the Ant Farm stuff. This is you hadn't shown this off before.
No. So this is all just being shown now.
And we're in like an alien ship that's been converted?
Exactly.
Okay.
Excellent. That you could convey that from this. I mean, yeah, the art team did a fantastic job. You can see this is an old alien derelict vessel from the Enemy Unknown time frame, and XCOM, since the events of Enemy Unknown, where they lost, if you recall, we are taking the canon that the player has lost because it was such a challenging experience.
I love that. You're like, yeah, you're all bad at the game, so
yeah, exactly. And some of us are bad at multiplayer. I hear you're talking some smack on me, by the way, Max,
I'm really good at it. So,
yeah, you are apparently 2-0, but we'll see in the future. So this is the old alien vessel, and the XCOM Resistance is now restarting 20 years later. We're getting new characters. This right here is Dr. Richard Teigen. He's replacing Dr. Valen. If you remember, the female chief scientist from Enemy Unknown, she's been lost. We don't know exactly where she is. But this is our new chief scientist. He's the tip of the spear for everything that you want to do tech-related. And he's sort of introducing you to his ship, what he can do with it. That's an alien power core behind him. And he's sort of giving you a rundown of what can be done.
Okay. Now I'm really fascinated by the procedural generation thing. That is a hot buzzword for
it is
2015. But like you guys are doing some stuff there, yeah?
We are putting some work in. I will tell you, I mean, it would have been very easy to say, we shipped 86 maps with Enemy Unknown. They went over really well. Fans seemed to like them, but they clearly said, we want more. We want to play this game more, and when we exhausted these maps, we want more. And we said we want to double down on that and over-deliver and create this procedural map system. And on the strategy layer, another huge piece of feedback we got from the community was they really enjoyed the strategy game of Enemy Unknown, but after you play through a few times, there's clearly a go-to strategy. So we said, how can we make it more open-ended? How can we make it more interesting? And because this is now an alien-occupied Earth, it's not yours anymore. It made a lot of sense mechanically to say, you don't know what you're going to get. Things are going to be far more unpredictable on the strategy layer. You cannot go with, my go-to strategy of satellites, carapace armor, scan for mission. There are so many more things to do. We're getting into it a little bit. This is the new Ant Farm view, and this is one of the optional facilities you can build after you clear out alien debris.
Is that a go-kart? What is that back there?
That is not a go-kart at all.
I think you should have go-karts.
That is actually an incubator for your soldiers, and you can put them in there, and you can actually respec them, which you couldn't do in Enemy Unknown. So you can change their abilities. Right here, we actually used our staffing system. You notice the engineer on the right side just came in. You can now assign specific staff with names and backstories to do specific gameplay things, and he is now tending to one of your wounded soldiers. He's cutting his recovery time in half. We're putting a lot more context behind staffing now and making the gameplay within each facility much deeper.
Now, something I love about XCOM is it is so much a game that you make your own. But you guys do have a universe. You have lore. You've got characters and stuff. How does that kind of like, how much are you kind of doubling down on the lore at the same time as doing procedural generation?
Yeah, it's actually, that's one of the things I love so much about this IP. We are, first and foremost, we're under the strategy umbrella, and the best strategy games give players a series of interesting choices, different things you can do, different approaches you can take. But at the same time, we're really injecting a lot of narrative. That's part of XCOM's DNA. We really want people to be invested in the story. We were really taken aback by how connected players got to the characters of Enemy Unknown, and not just your soldiers that could die that you could create, but also folks like Valen and Dr. Shen. This is now Dr. Shen, who was your chief engineer in Enemy Unknown. This is his daughter. He helped start the reverse engineering, the refactoring of this alien ship to make XCOMs. He has passed on leading up to the events of Enemy Unknown, and his daughter was with him step by step, and she's now carrying on his legacy.
Nice.
She's very much a hands-on engineer, and she's going to create all the awesome stuff that your soldiers can use on the battlefield.
So how do you balance the? I like you've got some drone stuff going on.
Yeah.
Because again, it's 2015. You got to have drones.
That's right.
So it's like 20 years in the future. But it's the Resistance, so are we going to see like familiar weaponry, or is it kind of like all new gear from the ground up? Or
it's a mix. I mean, it is 20 years in the future, so you'll see bits of future technology, but you do start very much in conventional weaponry.
Okay.
This is also a very cool example of how we want things to be unpredictable. This is one of our optional facilities called the Proving Ground, and Shen can assign one of her engineers here to do experimental item building. You can do experimental ammo, experimental grenades, experimental armor, and you don't quite know what you're going to get. It's like pulling a slot machine. You're going to get something awesome, but you don't know what you're going to get. So we assigned an engineer here to work on experimental ammo, and then when we go on the geoscape, we'll see what they cook up, and then we can use on the battlefield.
Okay, now you've got another thing that I heard about that honestly just sounded too good to be true. You guys are coming just to PC, and you're going to be allowing modding?
Yeah, we are. We're going to be allowing modding.
Because there wasn't enough customization in the game already.
It's true. We are. I mean, we're doubling down on everything with respect to giving the player a lot more in the core game. We want you to be able to play through many times and not see everything. And we also want to see, we think one of the most exciting relationships in the PC community are fans that get so excited about your core product that they want to do more with it.
Yeah.
So we want to give them the tools to do so. And they're going to have the full editor. They're going to have our content. They're going to have the gameplay source, so they can do total conversions, partial modifications. You can see XCOM. I don't know if I can say current licensed properties, but they can make whatever your little heart desires.
They can do some things that get them cease and desist letters.
Yes, exactly.
That's really cool though, because I mean it's a fantastic game. Like the skeleton there is really cool, and it's nice to see you guys.
Yeah, I mean we think some of the most exciting mods are done with things like GTA 5 or Civ 5, for instance. Systemic-driven games. Elder Scrolls has a huge modding community.
Yeah.
We are very much an interdisciplinary. The systems work in very interesting ways, and we want players to be able to sort of torque those how they see fit.
Okay. So this is a sore spot for me. I'm a console baby. I don't have a PC, so this is going to be hard for me to get to play. Are you guys going to? Is there any thoughts to later bring it to consoles or mobile devices? I know the XCOM kicked ass on iOS. That was
so Max, these are tattoos here. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. I mean, we are a PC studio through and through. So we wanted to stay focused there. When you talk about things like modding, I honestly don't know with the future. Okay. I mean, we just want to make the best game possible with PC.
That's a fair answer. You guys, you guys seem like you're like. You take feedback into consideration. And you're open to trying new stuff.
Absolutely.
The whole like. Putting Civ and putting XCOM on iPad was like kind of that was AAA on mobile.
That's right.
It's kind of a surprise.
Yeah, we were very, very excited about that. Soldier customization is pretty incredible now.
Yeah, this is artists. This is impressive.
They have quadrupled down on the things you can do to give your characters more life and create more agency for the player when you create your family and friends, or you use random soldiers, whatever you want. This here is our brand new weapon upgrade system. Ooh. You can actually not only name weapons and change how they look, so you can have legacy weapons to pass on from your dead soldiers, but you can also modify them gameplay-wise. We put an autoloader on that shotgun, so you don't have to spend an action in battle to actually load your gun. And there's so many ways to mix and match on specific weapons now. It's pretty exciting.
Now, is kind of all upgrades and stuff, are they kind of gathered through like research and in-base stuff?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of loot that you get that is the fuel for your technology and research. But weapon upgrades in particular, they actually drop off of alien bodies, so you can now loot them in map. It's a tangible item you pick up, and then you can bring it back to base if you loot them.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it creates more of a connection to the tactical layer. We love the synergy between the two, and we wanted to push that more.
Are we about to go on a mission here, or what's going on?
Yeah, so here is your good old council spokesman. He's still alive and well. Doesn't look like he aged too much. You know, he's still there. But yeah, so he is now your informant for the Resistance, and he's telling you time to get back into business. Let's look at what's going on in the geoscape, classic XCOM geoscape. But now things are much more dynamic here on the geoscape. If you remember when you went into the XCOM geoscape, you had an option to scan for your next mission. And it was basically the way to pass time, to make sure research was happening, items were getting built, and you get your next mission.
Really stressful. Like really just, 'cause
Yeah.
you're like, I have to do this to move forward, but it's totally going to tell me something caught fire and Africa hates me, you know?
That's right. But the design team did a phenomenal job of pushing this even further now,
Wow,
where
yeah.
we wanted things to be far more unpredictable on the Geoscape. We wanted you to have far more choices and not have a go-to strategy. This is now an alien-occupied Earth, and you have to sort of react to all these wrenches that the aliens are throwing at you. So right here, there's even a little bit of territory control. You're trying to expand the resistance little by little and liberate pockets of the world. And so you get sort of intel on where these resistance cells are, and you make the active choice to go there, fly there with the Avenger, and say, I want to make contact with this region. If you do that, you're forgoing other things like responding to rumors or searching for things like the black market, which has all this awesome gameplay underneath of it. So you can see there's a lot of choices now in the Geoscape that weren't there before.
So it's kind of a shift in, like, the old one was like it was enemy unknown, like it was the aliens were the kind of the guerrilla, entity. And in this case, it's if you're fighting back, you're the resistance. You're kind of the little guy.
That's right.
How does that affect in terms of how you kind of how you stretch out? You know?
Yeah, I mean, you were very reactive in Enemy Unknown because you were being invaded. UFOs were coming in, and you were responding exactly what you said. And it's a very cool. One of my favorite parts of this game is the marriage of thematics and mechanics and design. So we said we want to do these things mechanically. And narratively, the stage is now set that you are almost the invader in a good way. You're trying to take your planet back. So this allows you to now be more proactive. You have to take the initiative of where you want to go, like the aliens were doing on Enemy Unknown.
Okay. Oh, so what's the hidden event?
These are dark events. So this is a good example of aliens have long-term goals, which you'll uncover when you go through the story, which is pretty awesome, by the way, and short-term goals, which are these dark events. And they change every time you play the game. The aliens have these projects that they're now doing themselves. We didn't have anything like this in Enemy Unknown. They can now build extra padding for their troopers on the battlefield, so they're tougher to kill.
Oh, wow.
They can create venom rounds for their troopers, so now they're shooting poison at you as opposed to...
They are like playing XCOM themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, they're kind of doing
it's
what
a good way to
we're
think
used
about
to
it.
doing.
Yep, they're playing it themselves, and it's your job to... You can't stop all of them at once, but you can mitigate some things they're doing.
Yeah.
And in classic XCOM fashion, you have to choose what you want to stop and then react to what you can't stop.
Yeah, I mean, that's really probably the hardest part about XCOM, aside from the difficulty, which is very hard, is the fact that you really can't win them all. You know,
Right,
you gotta let some stuff go.
Right, which is a good life lesson,
Yeah.
right?
It's pick your battles. You know?
That's right.
So I have one last question. This is totally just kind of weird. I'm a big toy nerd, and one thing I always loved about XCOM is they feel like toys. You know, they have that kind of like that boxy look to them. Are we ever going to see like a tabletop XCOM game or like miniatures or anything?
So there is a board game.
Okay.
And an XCOM board game created by Fantasy Flight. It's actually awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So your wishes may be answered. However, I mean, it's funny. Our artists, we've always talked about your soldiers sort of being like G.I. Joes or a toy, and it's perfect for that, and you can mix and match them. So who knows? I think the alien designs are perfect for that as well. I mean, something else we haven't touched on that I do really want to stress, because this is made for PC, when you look at this game, whether it's on a high-end PC or whatever, visually this game is outstanding now. When you look in the tactical layer as well, and the level of fidelity in the rooms, how when you assign staff there, they come to life with the animations. The artists have done an incredible job. The physically based rendering allows for dynamic lighting, allows for dynamic weather, the destruction. It looks like a top-notch AAA game that can stand up with almost any other one. So it's really exciting if you're a graphics nerd as well.
Good, yeah, and it's still Unreal.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Cool.
Yep, you got it.
Well, Garth, thank you so much for coming by and chatting about this. Always a pleasure. When's this out?
This is coming out in November for PC.
Awesome. Well, so keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for more Gamescom coverage, which is coming up real soon, so don't go anywhere.